The rain drizzled down the fogged windows of the dimly lit café, casting watery shadows on the walls. A bell above the door jingled softly as Ethan stepped inside, shaking the cold off his coat. He scanned the room, eyes settling on her. Isla. She waved, a soft, almost too perfect smile stretching across her lips. Ethan returned the smile and made his way over. She was striking, with raven black hair cascading over her shoulders and eyes so dark they seemed endless. "Hi, Isla," Ethan asked, extending a hand. Her fingers were cold but delicate. "Ethan, glad you made it through the rain." They settled into idle chatter, nursing cups of coffee. Ethan talked about his dull office job, his dog, and his hobby of restoring old guitars. Isla listened intently, occasionally tilting her head in curiosity. Then it was her turn. "So what about you? Why are you single?" Isla chuckled, a sound that seemed to scrape the air, both melodic and unsettling. She leaned back, tracing the rim of her coffee cup with a slender finger. "Oh, I've had relationships. None of them lasted. I suppose I'm a bit too much to handle." Ethan laughed politely. "Too much? How so?" Her eyes glinted and a sly smile played at the corner of her mouth. "I get attached, deeply. And when things end, well, I like to leave things clean, no loose ends. My last boyfriend, Daniel, he was a wanderer, always slipping away, so I made sure he stayed put, for good." Ethan's smile faltered. "Stayed put?" Isla's laugh this time was softer, breathier. "Oh, you know how it is. People drift apart, but I made sure he wouldn't drift anywhere. He loved hiking, so I suggested this beautiful cliffside trail, told him it would be a great way to clear our heads. He agreed, and I left him there, all alone with the view." She sipped her coffee, eyes watching Ethan over the rim. "Left him there?" Ethan's voice was tight. Then there was Aaron. He always had his secrets, locked doors, whispered calls, so I gave him space, lots of it. I told him the lake near his cabin was perfect for reflection. It's so still, so quiet. I like to think he's still reflecting." Her words hung in the air, each syllable dipped in something darker than sarcasm. Yet nothing she said was overtly incriminating. The way she spoke, the details she chose to highlight, they all painted an innocent picture if you didn't look too closely. Ethan felt a bead of sweat crawl down his spine. He chuckled nervously. "You're joking, right?" Isla tilted her head, that eerie smile never leaving her lips. "Of course, but isn't it fascinating how words can paint pictures? One might think I'm confessing to something terrible, but I'm just telling stories, Ethan. Just stories." Her gaze lingered, unblinking. Outside, the rain poured harder, the world beyond the window blurred and shapeless. Inside, the air grew heavier. Ethan shifted in his seat, suddenly aware of how far he was from the door. Isla leaned in closer, her voice a whisper now. "Tell me, Ethan, do you like the woods, or perhaps the water? I always find it interesting to know where people feel most at peace." Her laugh followed, soft and hollow as Ethan's pulse quickened beneath his skin. But then, the distant wail of sun shattered the moment, growing louder with each second. Ethan's head snapped toward the window, red and blue lights flickering against the rain-slicked glass. The cafe door burst open with a violent crash, and officers stormed in, weapons drawn. "On the ground! Hands where we can see them!" one of them barked, their voices echoing through the stunned silence. Chairs scraped back as patrons screamed, ducking for cover. Isla sat still, that same eerie smile barely faltering. "Isla Harper, you're under arrest. You're being charged with the murders of Daniel Reed and Aaron Collins," another officer shouted. Ethan froze, his breath shallow. Isla slowly raised her hands, the cold amusement in her eyes never dimming. The chaos felt unreal. Officers shouting, Isla being wrestled to the floor, metal cuffs clinking. Then, as quickly as it began, the scene unraveled. The sirens drifted off into the night, swallowed by the wind, leaving behind only the whisper of rain against glass. Be careful with online dating. You never know what you're going to get.